I'm Hayley, I'm 26, and I'm a recovering addict.
What's going on, YouTube? Today I got Hayley Dennis coming from Hamler, Ohio. How you doing, Hayley?
Good.
Can you tell the people your age?
I just turned 26 in January.
And what school did you go to in Hamler?
Patrick Henry, but I've been all over the place. My mom, my dad bounced back and forth, Lima, Finley, but mostly Lima and Hamler.
Okay, what age was you when you went to Lima?
Probably most elementary and middle school. I did most of my high school years in Hamler.
Okay, how was it growing up in Lima?
Shitty, you know? You're a poor white family on the south end of town, like, you're always getting picked on, like, always getting into trouble. Like, that's part of the reason why my mom moved us over to Hamler, is to try to keep us out of trouble, keep us away from bullshit.
So it was a lot of struggles and trauma and stuff growing up?
Yeah. My dad was an alcoholic, died when I was 16. My mom was an alcoholic there for most of my childhood years, and then she stopped probably about middle school. She, like, got her shit together and everything. But there for a while, my mom was my party buddy instead of my mom. So, and my dad.
Oh, wow. Sorry to hear that. How was it, like, losing your dad at 16? Like, what was going through your head at that time?
At that time, like, I ended up being diagnosed with bipolar disorder and major manic depression. After I kind of, like, went off the deep end after he died, I just started fighting all the time, got into drugs, like, just doing spice and coke and weed and shit like that, just at fucking 15, 16 years old. Like, the first time I ever smoked a joint was with my dad when I was, like, 11, 12 years old out of a fucking mustard bottle. Like,
oh, wow. So,
shit, I did a line of cocaine with my mom before I ever even smoked weed with her, and I didn't smoke weed with her until junior high school. Like, so if that tells you how old I was doing coke with my mom, like...
Damn, so you really been
it's not something to be proud of, but it's like, how do you expect me to be the way I am, or people judge me for being the way I am, but they don't realize how I was raised? Like, damn. When that's all you're taught from a young age, that's all you know is drugs, alcohol, and party, fast life.
Wow, like, how many kids do you got yourself?
I got 4 kids myself with 2 baby dads. Me and my girls' dad, we were together almost 8 years from the time I was 15, 16. Right after my dad died, me and him got together, and then we split up maybe 2 years ago. But he's good. And then I had my twins' dad. He was actually a one-night stand, and I got pregnant with the twins, and he's long gone, and I got 2 beautiful fucking boys out of it.
I'm glad to hear that. You know, you've been through a lot of things in your life and stuff like that. Like, so encountering life, being an adult, how was it like just being like a single parent then?
I really haven't had to be a single parent except for these last 2 years, but these last 2, almost 3 years that I have been doing it without my girls' dad, like, I just got further and further into drugs instead of worrying about the kids, and that's not their fault, but, you know, I wasn't raised no better to know any better. I wasn't raised on maternal motherly instincts and shit, so I don't know how to be a maternal mother and have all that shit, but I try my best, so.
That's good that you wake up every day, taking it day by day and doing the best you can, because there's a lot of people out here that's not even trying to or even doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
What is...
Sure. I know I messed up, but I know I got to build those bonds back with my girls, especially. Like, the boys, it's different. I'm with them every day. You know, they don't have nobody else to depend on. Luckily, the girls got a good dad that helps take care of them. They got a good support system over there with him and shit, but those are the 2 bonds I definitely need to build back.
Most definitely. So, in the past years or so, what have you been doing to help yourself to stay off the drugs and stop partying and things like that or the so?
What was it? May of 2021, my ex beat the shit out of me, held me hostage in our house for 13 hours, beat me with a hammer, pulled a gun on me, cut off all my dreadlocks, and he's doing 2 years in prison for it now and everything. But after all that shit, I ended up relapsing. I got clean for a few weeks after it, but then I ended up relapsing again, and that time I ended up relapsing on fentanyl and died in my mom's house pretty much until I had cold water splashed all over my face and woke up to that. And that was kind of like that eye-opener, like, hey, my kids ain't gonna have a mom if I keep on doing this shit. And I went and put myself into inpatient treatment.
So you put yourself in rehab?
Yeah, I voluntarily put myself in rehab.
That's good. How did rehab help you from all that?
It just showed me how to live a life sober, and that I could still have fun being sober, and I can still go out and function in society, and people not even know my past and be able to relate to me in some way, shape, or form.
Most definitely. What helps you cure the urge of getting high?
Right now, for me, it's just definitely meetings, NA meetings, AA meetings, just having that fellowship and other people that's already been through the same thing that I've been through for shit. Some of them's in their 20-some years. I just went to a meeting the other night where a guy was talking about how he went into those rooms at my age at 25 years old. He's damn near 50, and he's still in and out of them, and he's only got like 6 years clean. You know?
Wow, that's crazy.
Like, people like that to lean on and know that it is possible. It is a way to live. As long as you live it. If you work it, it works.
Wow, that's crazy. What can you tell another person that is fighting an addiction, that is seeking for help?
Not everything works for everybody the same. You just got to find out what works for you. Like, not everybody's into the whole 12-step program. Not everyone's into the religion aspect of it and finding God. When I went into rehab, like, my biggest thing was finding my higher power. Like, and I've been dealing with hard drugs for probably 4 years now, maybe. Like, hard drugs, like meth and heroin and fentanyl and stuff. Not everything works for everybody, but with the whole higher power thing, I really struggle with it. Like, especially growing up the way that I did, I wasn't in a religious household. I didn't go to church. I didn't do any of that stuff. Like, I've been in STNA for almost 10 years. You know, I worked my ass off. My kids' dad was very fucking lazy. I took care of 2 to 4 kids by myself, a single income family household, working 6-7 days a week, 12 to 16-hour shifts, you know. Like, yeah. The way I looked at it was, how could God do good things to bad people or bad things to good people, you know? Like, how can God take somebody like me that was doing everything that I needed to do for my family and ruin me? And bring me into a life of hard drugs and selling my body and couch surfing, being homeless, doing all this stuff. But in the end, like, you just gotta find what works for you. I don't know how to explain it. So it's always something different for everybody else. Like, for me, my biggest thing is my kids.
Right.
But for a lot of people, their kids aren't enough to get them clean. Like, they gotta hit rock fucking bottom.
So you said you had to sell your body.
I never sold my body for drugs. I never did anything like that, but definitely sold my body for a place to stay, whether or not it was an ex or somebody that I had already previously fucked with. Like, I never really would go to anybody that I didn't know and be like, hey, can I crash on your couch? But yeah, I would hit people up and I would be like, hey, can I crash on your couch? And you know what they want in return.
Most definitely.
You know what they want.
A little girl trying to find love. That's kind of what it was like.
I wasn't really trying to find love. It was just more of a use them and abuse them to get what I needed at the end of the day, which was a place to stay, a roof over my head, and some fucking dope.
Most definitely. That's strong. It's a lot of people that can't sit up here and say all that. That's deep. Like, deep. Well,
shit happens for a reason. It makes me though.
Most definitely.
And that's another big thing of the recovery and shit. Like, you gotta be honest with yourself. You gotta be honest with everybody else. Like, you can't sit here and try to have, like, that social acceptance from people. Like, oh, no, I'm clean, I'm doing this. But you're really getting high behind everybody's backs because I've been there, I've done that. And the social acceptance does not do anything. Like, yeah, it makes you feel like shit, but shouldn't that drug make you feel like shit just as much?
Right. So I want to know, how does it feel when you get high, like, off of, like, meth? How does it feel? Like, do it's like an escape code or something like that? Like, you escape from it?
Well, pretty much when I got into meth and everything, me and my kids' dad was still together, and we were selling coke, like living the fast life, making money. Like he was a stay-at-home dad. I was working full-time, so of course we sold shit. And then obviously we started doing our own product, and then we started cutting into our profit, losing money, all this shit. Coke's too expensive, and then we found meth. We moved over to meth, and that was like the game changer. And then he ended up getting indicted on trafficking charges, 2 trafficking cocaines within 1,000 feet of a school district, elementary schools.
Wow.
Which is our daughter's ages. It's the sad part is that we were doing this shit at a school, by a school, that it's our kids' ages. But he ended up getting clean after that. I got clean with him for about a month, and this is when everything first started, like when we switched over. He ended up leaving me because I went back out and I started partying with his friends, his cousins, shit like that. And he ended up going back to his grandma's, and he left me out there high and dry. And then, so at that point, I was just a single mom trying to stay awake, you know, working third shift at Silgon.
Right.
Coming home in the morning, I can't take care of the kids and sleep and let them run all around the house. So what did I do? I did meth to stay awake. And then, like, days turn into weeks, weeks turn into a month, and at that point, you're fucking hallucinating and you're seeing things that aren't really there, and you're losing your fucking mind.
Damn. So how is it when it's coming down?
It's just like a burst of energy. That's the only way I can explain it. It's like a burst of energy. It just keeps you going.
Like a strong ass energy drink.
It's fucking cocaine times 1,000. Like, I've never experienced anything like it before. And then even after like stepping up to meth, now I cannot step back down to coke. Because it's just not the same, and it's not as good.
It wouldn't do nothing for you.
It wouldn't do nothing for me. I've had people laugh at me because I'm sitting there yawning, ready to go to sleep, like while doing coke with them, and then I end up going out and relapsing because that's not the high that I want. I want the meth high.
Right. So what you substitute if you couldn't get the meth at the time?
You just go sick. Damn. Get some Xanax and fall asleep.
Damn.
Because the come down sucks. Like, it just makes you sick. It makes you jittery. It makes you nauseous. Like, some people can eat on it, some people can't. I was one of the people, I couldn't eat on it. I couldn't barely even drink a little bit of water. Like, I remember one time I went on a month-long bender, and there was a time where I didn't even pee anything for 3 days because I had nothing in my system to pee out.
Damn.
And then the first time I did after that hurt. I was fucking bleeding. Yeah.
Damn. So the come down is serious. It's crazy. So what was it that you switched to if you didn't have a meth? Like,
well,
was it different?
There for a while, like, my only drug of choice was meth. Like, that's all I wanted. But then before I put myself in rehab, my drug of choice ended up being fentanyl. So
what was that like hitting for? Like, was it a cheaper drug? Was it a better high?
It's about the same thing, and I don't know why I got into it, because I've never, like, out of all the years that I've done anything that I've done, like, I've never been into downers and stuff that made me feel like I was asleep, because the whole reason they got me into drugs was to just stay awake and take care of shit and just be a mom.
Hell yeah.
But I don't know, just something about it. Almost like that adrenaline rush. Because I'm an adrenaline junkie, but then you start fucking with fentanyl and heroin, and you know, like, that's something that it just takes that one bad batch to kill you. But it's something about that adrenaline of doing that high, like, knowing that it can kill you.
So is it like a similar to heroin?
Yeah, it just brings you really down, but fentanyl is, like, to me, is so much more fucking powerful. Like, there's a fine line between nodding off and overdosing.
Damn. So when you overdose, is it good to have somebody there by you to help you? Because can you die just like off of straight overdosing? Like you can just die if somebody ain't there to pour no water on you?
The last time I overdosed, I took a trip up to Toledo and I went and got some fentanyl with the dope man. And somebody that gave him a ride. So there was 3 of us, and then did a bump on the way back, and the smallest little card bump, like, had me nodding off, like, had me out of it in the car just on the way home. And then got back to his place, to the dope man's place, and he put out like 4 or 5 fat-ass lines. Sat there and did all of them. And then next thing you know, all I remember was rolling a joint and passing him this joint. And then after that, I don't remember nothing until I woke up and I seen 4 Narcans sitting on the table, and it took 3 of them to bring me back.
Damn. Have you ever...
And I was lucky, honestly, because we were in little tiny rinky-dink town where you're not around any CVS's or Walgreens or anything like that to be able to go get Narcan. Like, luckily, the guy that drove him up lived across town and had 4 fucking doses of Narcan across town.
Damn. Have you ever helped somebody that done OD'd and you had to bring them back to life yourself?
I've done CPR on people that's OD'd until an ambulance has gotten there or until Narcan got there.
So can you just get Narcan from the doctor or whatever? Like, just
you can go into any Walgreens or CVS and buy Narcan over the counter.
Oh, okay. See,
and there's a lot of free clinics that give out Narcan and clean needles and syringes or cotton balls, anything that you need, like especially for IV users and shit, which I'm not, but.
Okay. At this point in your time in your life, how many times have you been going to rehab? Like.
I've only put myself in rehab 1 time.
Okay.
And that was just because, like, I got to the point where I realized that my life was completely unmanageable, that I could not do it on my own. You know, I have family, I have friends, I have people sitting here telling me that they will not have anything to do with me. And at that point, I realized, like, I've tried so many times to detox myself at home. I've tried so many times to just cut people out of my life. Like, I needed to get away.
Yeah.
I needed to do something different because obviously every other time that I tried to get clean, there was some kind of common denominator that wasn't working.
Right. Can you tell the people that if you is using Narcan or not, or you just doing straight cold turkey?
I'm just cold turkey. I decided not to use Suboxone or anything like that to come down. I went straight cold turkey just because of the fact that I don't want to just temporary bandage one of my problems with another one, because anyone that's been into drugs or anything like with what I'm dealing with, like, they know Suboxone's harder to come off of than anything. Like, right. I would be detoxing for months. It stays in your system and your bones and shit for months. And everything that I've already put myself through with the whole detoxing and everything, you feel like dog shit. And anyone that knows how you feel when you feel like that, you don't want to feel like that again. So to have that feeling even worse off of Suboxone and then to have to go and do it for months, like, there's people that can't medically come down themselves. Like, I got lucky. There's people that have to be medically advised. They'll have seizures, like cold sweats, puking, shitting. Like, it's the worst time of your life. You feel like dog shit.
Damn.
Like, I had COVID, and people know how, like, if you want a real example, like, COVID doesn't make you feel anything near as bad as what withdrawing off of hard drugs makes you feel like. Yeah. Like, it's 100 times worse.
That's crazy as hell. So it's pretty much a substitute.
It is.
That's what it is.
You're still getting high off of it. I don't want to get high no more.
Right. And pretty much the government know that too.
Yeah, they're just bandaging one problem with another. They're just trying to do their big pharma shit.
That's crazy as hell. So back to your childhood history. I ain't trying to bring that back up, but you said so your mom was pretty much like your best friend, pretty much.
Yeah, she was my party buddy. Like, we always drank. Like, from a very young age, we all drank and everything. My mom's had a lot of husbands that were alcoholics. Like, my dad was an alcoholic. He was abusive to her. He was abusive to me. Then her second husband, he was the party husband. They were together for 2 years, and it was nothing but straight partying. And my mom will tell you she drank a pint of Black Velvet a day at that time.
Damn.
So, yeah, my mom didn't really put me in the best situations or anything growing up, you know. Like, my mom was a coke addict around that time when I was younger and stuff, and she cleaned herself up, and she set a good example of definitely somebody can live sober, because my mom's still here sober.
That's good. Did you have any other siblings, brothers, sisters?
I have a brother.
Okay.
My brother will tell you right now he actually quit drinking because he feels like he has an alcohol problem.
Okay.
He feels like he's an alcoholic, but my brother has never done hard drugs or anything like that. He used to smoke weed in high school. After he graduated and got a good job, like, he just quit.
That's good.
That was it, and he can't even smoke weed now. Like, he'll start getting all paranoid and shit like a tweaker. Like, he'll be thinking people are watching him or videotaping him and all kinds of shit. Like, so he can't even handle weed, and his thing was drinking. Like, he'd come home and he'd drink.
Damn.
So, but he realized that he has a problem and that his life was unmanageable at that point. So, here my brother is, and, you know, he sets a good example, too, and I feel like he now knows what I go through, you know, especially when you fight that thing every single day, like, yeah, I don't want to drink, or I don't want to use, or I don't want to do this. Like, now he knows what I'm going through, because I remember when before I went to rehab this last summer and everything, in May, I was at my daughter's birthday party at the park. My sister-in-law, she goes, hey, honey, will you go to the house and get me a twisted tea or something like that? And then she made the comment, I don't know what I would do if I couldn't at least have a beer every day. And I looked at her, and, like, this is right after I'm coming down off of a bender and stuff, and, you know, like, they're all kind of judging me and everything. I'm like, that's no different than my addiction, you know? Like, if you say you cannot go a day without it, like, that's an addiction, and you're an alcoholic at this point. And I remember it was a big, huge blowout. And they're like, no, it's not the same. It's not the same. But I'm like, it is the same. People really do, like, fuck themselves up over alcohol. Mm-hmm. My dad, like, obviously he had a predisposed heart condition and everything, but alcohol did not help it. And alcohol killed him faster because of it. Mm. Like, he had coronary heart disease. So, yeah, alcohol did kill him faster. But my brother was going down the same path.
Damn.
And my brother, I actually just seen him today before I came over here. He's lost 50, 60 pounds since he's quit drinking, and it's only been a couple months.
That's good.
Yeah.
So who would you say was your role model growing up if you had to choose out of your mom and your dad? Where do you think you get all that built up anger from back in the day and everything? Who would you say you get it from, your mom or your dad?
I definitely have built up anger, like, against my dad and the shit that we went through, especially, like, I didn't see my dad maybe 3 or 4 months before he passed away. Like, I didn't get to say goodbye or anything like that. Like, we didn't get to hash out any of the bullshit. And like I said, he was an alcoholic that was abusive to me, but he wasn't abusive to my brother. So it was different. It was like something like I reminded him of my mom or something. And then you had my mom that, yeah, she went through what she went through, but she still held me and my brother down, even though my dad was a piece of shit, didn't pay child support. Didn't hardly want to take us or anything, but my mom would be like, no, here's food, you can go with your dad, like, take it with you. Like, I'll supply your guys' food for the weekend, just go with your dad, kind of thing. But she worked 6-7 days a week. She made sure we had a roof over our head and food in the house. So, like, my mom was a good role model.
That's good. So it was like, you was with your dad, your mom through the week, and on the weekend you would go to your daddy's house.
Yeah.
Word. What was the worst, like, ass whooping you can remind yourself you got from your pops?
I wouldn't say it was really the worst ass whooping, but, you know, just being a little girl in a hotel room, like, my dad, he didn't have a stable lifestyle or anything. It was 1 week he was at this hotel over in Findlay, and then it was the next hotel down the line, down the line. Yeah. And I remember one time, like, he wasn't even trying to let me eat or something. Like, he had a whole ass pizza right there for him and my brother, and for some reason he didn't want to let me eat. And then I remember him throwing me in the corner and, like, throwing this pizza at me and then throwing shoes at me and, like, just all kinds of fucking fucked up shit. And then either him or my brother or somebody called my mom to come get us, and there was this big ass blowout between them. My mom ended up punching my dad in the face to let us out of the hotel room, and, like, then when we got home, like, I got these bruises all over my arm, like my dad's whole ass handprints from him picking my little body up and just fucking throwing me into this corner. And as I got older and shit, like, I started standing up to him. Like, I think the last time we had a conflict or, like, anything like that, he was drinking. He wanted me to stay another night, and I didn't want to stay with him. I had already called my mom to come get me. And then I was sitting in my uncle's trailer waiting for him to come because my dad lived with my uncle. And he come up and he bopped me in my head hard as fuck. And I stood up, like, I didn't know what it was, but I just stood up and I looked at him, like, chest to chest. I said, don't ever fucking touch me like that again. I'm not my mama. I'll hit your ass back. And then after that, he just, like, was like, damn, and left me alone. And then when my mom got there and shit, like, my aunt says she was standing in the kitchen the whole entire time. She looked at my mom, she said she looked just like you, standing right up in front of him. And it was, like, the last real big thing big blowout we had, because after that, like, my uncle ended up kicking him out. I think he realized that he, like, really fucked up that time and shit. And then I got pregnant in a young age. I got pregnant at 14. And I told my dad straight up, like, look, if you ain't sober, if you ain't not drinking or nothing, like, you ain't gonna see your grandchild. Like, you're not gonna be in your grandkid's life and shit like that. And I remember the first time I went over there after I told him that, it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He was drinking a Mountain Dew. Like, I ain't never seen that out of my dad. My dad could go 3 days without drinking, if that. Like, one time he told me and my brother he was gonna quit drinking, and me and my brother walked down to his house and shit, and where's my dad? He made it up to his porch and to his door, but then he fell off that bitch and was sleeping on a bag of beer cans.
Lit.
Just because 3 days of not drinking, it fucked him up.
Having the shakes and everything like that.
Yeah, my dad was literally one of those people where he would go into withdrawal from not having alcohol.
Damn, G.
Yeah.
What was the last, what can you visualize the last thing you said to your pops?
I'm pretty sure the last time I was actually at my dad's, we were all drinking and partying. I was probably only like 14, 15 years old, and you know Four Locos.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, back before they were not regulated and shit. My dad had no business buying my 14, 15-year-old ass like 6 Four Locos.
Oh, yeah.
And I drank like 3 of them, and I was blacked out drunk. And then I went over to some crazy cat lady's house across the street and took a shot of tequila out of the hairiest fucking shot glass ever. And then I blacked out. I don't even remember getting out of this lady's house. My dad apparently drugged me out this lady's house.
Damn.
And so it was good last memory. Like, we had fun and shit.
That's good. I'm glad. I'm glad.
But at the same time, when you look at it, it's like, your grown ass had no business getting no fucking 14, 15-year-old kid of yours drunk like that. But it is what it is, and it's good memories now. You
can sit back and laugh at it, you know. So what is your the biggest success of 2020 that you could say you happy about in
2020?
Yeah, of this year.
You mean 2022?
What did I say? 2020? I always do that. My bad. G, yeah.
This year, like, just getting out of rehab, having a car, having a stable fucking job again, like. The last actual stable job I had was still gone. I worked there for a year and a half. And then, like, I just went on a bender and I started collecting stimulus checks. And I'm like, shit, let's just get high. And, like, that's what the next year of my life ended up being. So, like, it's happy. Like, it makes me feel good to be able to, like, I went to rehab. I completely cleaned out my system, even weed, for the first time in, like, years.
That's
like,
good, G.
To be able to pass a drug test and nothing come up on it, like, it made me feel so fucking good. And then I went back and I got a job in a nursing home, being an STNA. You know, I've been fucking
Congratulations on
state
that.
licensed for almost 10 years and shit. I started my addiction in the nursing homes and I ended my addiction in the nursing homes.
That's good.
So...
Well, we're going to wrap it out with that, and I thank you for coming and expressing yourself and telling people about some of your stories, and thank you. You got anything else that I didn't put out there or ask you about that you wanted to tell people?
There's always someone to listen. Like, there's always someone to be there. There's always a meeting, especially if you're in this area or anything. Like, bigger cities, like especially Findlay, there is a meeting every single night. And that's been my biggest thing lately. Like, when I feel down on myself and when I feel like I want to go use, like, I've been going to meetings. I lean on my fellowship. I lean on people that I do not even know.
That's good, G.
But definitely reach out. Like, find you a best friend. Because if it wasn't for my best friend, I would have never went to rehab. She told me straight up, my best friend of 13 years told me, I will not be your friend no more. I will not watch you go through this.
And you know what, G? That's a real friend, because you got the other friends that are just trying to be on some cool shit. And be like, oh, just laughing, keep,
like the one that you know,
keep get high. Yeah,
like the one you just seen, and he said, no, we don't fuck with each other no more because of the fact that I knew that I had to take him. We've been best friends for almost 10 fucking years.
Yeah.
And I knew that was a common denominator in my using was him.
That's what's
He
up.
would be clean, I would be fucking out here fucked up or something, and he'd relapse, and then vice versa. And it was just a rotating fucking cycle that I had to get out of. So
well, I'm glad you overcame
cut out
that.
people, places, and things and reach out to somebody for sure.
Thank you. And we're going to wrap that out with a whole lot of SGS Productions. Thank y'all. Come again. What's up, YouTube? I want to thank everyone for checking out SGS Production. It stands for Struggle, Growth, and Success. This channel represents people in society telling the history of their life and what they went through and how they overcame it to be where they are today. But remember, it's a struggle every day.